Today I'm going to show you how you catch a heap of yabbies. Well, g'day once again and welcome to this episode of Warwick Naylor's Boomerang Adventures. And today I'm going to be showing you how you catch a heap of yabbies in and around Australia's waterways. So I'm going to be going out and set a heap of nets and see what we can get. Now, before I get into any more details about that, I'll have to say, for those of you who don't know me that well yet, who've only just tuned in, maybe this is your first episode, I normally don't have a red dot between my eyes and the bridge of my nose. I actually walked into a light shade for a billiards table. We had the billiards table removed at home, and the light shade was still there, and I was walking across the room with an iPad in my hands and not watching where I was going, so that's what you get. And it's quite a common pastime by a lot of Australians to go out and catch themselves a big feed of yabbies. Now, they are Australia's most numerous freshwater crayfish, or lobster they're probably called in other places of the world. And I'm just going to show you all the little techniques of the best way to do that. So let's get into it, and I'll chat to you again at the end of the show. Now, before we go down to the dam, I just want to show you how the net works so you know what I'm doing when I'm throwing them in the water. This net's called a hoop net. It's also called a drop net because you drop them straight into the water and the yabbies quite quickly come from the sides into the middle where the bait is. They're also good because you don't end up drowning any other creatures in the process because they can just swim out. One hoop is smaller than the other, and in the middle of the small hoop you place your piece of meat, which you just tie there with a bit of string. So when you throw them in the water, toss them out, and then it goes flat. And because it's flat there on the mud, the yabbies can then crawl in over the top of the outside hoop into the middle hoop, grab the meat, and then when you pick them up, they're trapped inside that little cone shape. And there, that's the working, so you'll know what I'll be up to now when I'm chucking them out and bringing them back in. Just gonna make sure they're the right way up. Throw them a little bit like a frisbee without the spin. Not quite. Let's try that again. Okay, that's better. I know. Well, that's all right. Right. It's good. They're reasonable size. I'd say I'd just call them medium, and they're certainly edible size. But that lets me know that there should be quite a few more in there. I spent some time going between two different spots because it takes up to 10 to 30 minutes for the yabbies to find their way into the nets. The yabbies do like a bit of cover, so I've set these nets in the shade. When you've got shade, it's a good idea to utilise it. No yabbies, but we've got shrimp. These shrimp, freshwater prawn or shrimp, they're a completely different creature. They've still got little claws at the front, but they can't walk across the land like the yabbies can, and they don't last very long outside of the water. They're good bait when there's not a lot of other shrimp in the water that you're fishing, and you can actually eat them too. I've eaten these. There were so many one time in the channel that there were more shrimp than yabbies, so you could get a feed of shrimp. But I'll let these go. I'm not going to do any fishing today, and they can continue to feed another fish or something. Oh look, it's a little yabby and a shrimp. And that little yabby, that's a good bait size yabby. You could just use the tail or the whole thing if you're going after big fish. I'll chuck him back. Whoa, actually a couple of little size yabbies. I didn't expect this. Not bad. Still a bit of meat there. This is a bait size one. Also, when you're getting yabbies or any sort of crustacean, you check under their tails because that's where they have the eggs, and they'll hold them there up in a sort of a circle like that. They'll gather around them and take care of them that way. And it's called in-berry, like a yabby is in-berry, or a crayfish or a lobster or a crab, and you always chuck them back because that's your next generation. Don't take stuff that's pregnant, basically. Alright, look at that. One grabbed on the underside. So it's a good lesson as to why you shouldn't jerk your pots up that you're setting. You just sort of lift them, sort of ease them up, because something might be grabbing the outside that hasn't gotten in to get the meat, but it's still trying to get at the meat through it. So, right, that's a classic case of that happening. So I would have missed him if I had pulled him out of the water really quickly. Back over at the dam, the nets were a lot more successful, the yabbies were more numerous and a lot bigger too. They take about 3 years to get this big. That medium-sized one we've been getting, they're about 2-year-old. And when they're this big, they're old. It could be 4 years. I'm not sure the actual lifespan, but they take a minimum of 3 years to get this big. And it's pretty dirty too. Massive claws. Mate, you wouldn't want to get your finger in there. Getting to the size where they could actually probably break your nail through and bruise your bone at least. Yeah. Wow. Oop. So grab onto something, you let them go, and then grab them again quickly before they grab something else. Covered in mud. It's really too big for the bucket. Well, that is good. That's very successful. And now we can take them home and take you through the process of how you clean them up before you eat them, because if you eat them like this, you're only going to enjoy them if you like the taste of mud. And I don't, so we'll take them home and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, well we've got our bucket inside now, and I've used a piece of wool. This is this bit of belly wool off crossbred, just to stop the yabbies from fighting. Otherwise, if they're not covered, they start to bite each other, and then you got the injuries and it ruins the meat and they could die or something. So use a bit of towel or whatever's available. Now I'm going to put them in this bath. A bit of clean first. So probably take 2 days to empty out. And also a lot of the mud will just sort of wash off, and I'll give them a couple of rinses in that 2 days. So I'll just tip them all in. Alright. That's awesome. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23, 26, 27 now. And then I'll put a towel over them, and then they can clean themselves over a couple of days, or maybe 3 days. He's filthy. He's just covered in slime. That should all come off. If it doesn't come off, we'll give him a scrub as well. Yeah. Alright. Now, they're not going to starve to death. They won't starve to death at this stage. Only 3 days or so in the dark, because these things can hibernate for months in the mud, so they'll just calm down once I've got the towel on them. Like that. And if you listen, they're calming down, they're not so noisy now. So they won't bite each other. And anyway, they clean themselves up. I'll give them a rinse tomorrow, and then another one a day later, and then we'll process them for cook up. Well, thanks for watching, and welcome to any new subscribers that have just joined the channel. Please turn on your notifications and give me a big thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already as well. Now, I'm going to be making another episode very soon on how to cook these little beauties up, so I'll take you through that whole process on the next episode. So that won't be too far away, because the yabbies are going to be ready in a couple of days, so watch out for that one. So I'll see you then.